It is Wednesday here on Live Long and Podcast, December 2nd, 2020, and we are here to cover the original series. This week's episode in Ted Treks is the second season, episode 4 from 1967, Who Mourns for Adonais. I'm Dave Mader, coming at you with Star Trek TV and movie reviews, and we're here to break down this episode with a great panel. First, we got my dad, Ted. How are you doing, Dad?
Good, Dave. That's Adonais.
No, it's Adonais. Okay,
You keep calling him something else, but it's Adonais.
No, he might be an Adonis, but the episode's name is Adonais. And then we got Adam Woodward. How are you doing, Adam?
I'm great, Dave. Thank you.
Oh.
And we also have Jody Simpson. Jody, I heard you got a bit of a sinus thing tonight, but are you doing okay?
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah,
I'll be all right.
got a little bit of a frog, if you will. So
I got my mug of water here. We're good.
Awesome. And we're here to just break down this episode from 1967, which is an episode where the giant green space hand makes an appearance and stops the Enterprise dead in space. And it turns out to be the Greek god Apollo. Let's find him here. Oh, there he is, as played by Michael Forrest. And we learn that he actually is the Greek god Apollo from 5,000 years ago. And he gets involved here with young Lieutenant Carolyn Palamas, who is quite seduced by him on this away mission. She's the archaeology and mythology officer, I suppose. He gets her all up in this dress, and all of that. So let's talk about this episode. Dad, I'd like to start with you. Dad, who mourns for Adonais? Do you?
No, I don't mourn for Adonais. I mourn for Adonis.
All right, I gotta process that. Okay, let's go over to Adam. Adam, who mourns for Adonais? What's your thoughts?
It was okay. It was okay. It started good again, but I just felt it went a little long. But it was okay. It was a good episode.
Okay, and Jody, where are you sitting with this?
It's an okay episode.
It's an okay. So middle. Okay, so getting some lukewarm, not complete dismissals, or you're not throwing out the baby with the bathwater. But we're gonna break this all down. So this episode, as mentioned, is the giant green space hand that stops them in space, and that's how this episode starts. Well, actually, we get a little bit of a setup here with Scotty flirting with the aforementioned Carolyn Palamas, who and there's this conversation between Kirk and McCoy, who they're like, "What? Scotty's into her, but she's not into Scotty." And I think McCoy's a little jealous here, or he
McCoy was definitely macking for sure.
Yeah, and then they say a couple comments here just about how, well, soon she'll find a man and then she'll be out of the service, and that will be it.
that just a sign of the times, man. Like
one two sexist punch.
Yeah, getting married, you got to quit your job. Like I don't know why, but boy.
Well, she's gonna get pregnant, obviously.
Yeah.
Well, okay, and I know it's not fun facts yet, but Jeff's not here, so I feel like I can supersede. There was an ending to this episode that was cut. It was written. I think they shot it, and basically what it was is that she is pregnant by the end of this episode by Apollo, and McCoy does not know how to handle it. So, but that was cut from the episode, so that does not count. That doesn't mean that happened. Because it didn't make the final airing. But yes, that was the original. That wasn't the original plan for this story. But Scotty's a lovesick guy for her, and you're right. It's not a good look on Starfleet Kirk here, because he's like, I don't think so much of it as losing an officer as. Actually, wait, no, I am losing an officer. If she were to marry Scotty, I suppose. Anyway, but there are some other good things in this episode that I want to get to too. But the space hand, I think, shows up not long after that, and they don't really know what to make of it. And that's when the floating head of Apollo, I think, appears through the view screen and says, "Hey, I knew you. I always knew. I knew you would make it back to space. My favorite worshippers. I am Apollo, and let's come down to the planet. And so they don't really have a choice because they can't escape the big giant green space hand that's stopped the ship dead in space. So, but Spock's not invited because he reminds him of Pan, and Pan always bored Apollo. Is there what? Question: Why was do you think that was? Do you accept Spock or Apollo's reason here, or is there more to not allowing Spock to come along?
I think it's just the plot required Spock to be on the ship.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah,
it was handled well. I mean, it was good. I thought that they handled. Kirk questioned. You got hurt feelings, Spock. Or whatever he said. Well, hurt feelings would require emotions. And I don't have that. I mean, it was good. It was handled well. I mean, definitely recognized the fact that he was centered out because of his ears, and it was good. They handled that scene pretty well. Versus the female part of the
that scene wasn't so good. But what I was trying, what I was also trying to kind of figure out was, do I like it more when Spock and Kirk are teamed up? Like usually, where Kirk goes, Spock is always on the mission, right? But this is one of the times where they're kind of dividing and conquering, if you will, right? Dealing with different issues of the problem. I think I like it more when these two are kind of split up.
I like the McCoy Kirk dynamic better than I like the Spock and Kirk dynamic. So I'd rather have McCoy down with Kirk personally.
I like the. Sorry, Ted, go ahead.
No, I was just going to ask him if he...
I think they both work together. Excuse me. I think they both work together, but just different episodes require different means and different things.
But the same token, you got a pretty big crisis going up on the ship. I mean, you got a hand or the energy field holding you in place. They need a senior officer up there, so it worked out.
Yeah, no, it made sense. It was all fine. It just I did notice it because we've watched 35 of these episodes together as a group and a podcast, and like almost every time Spock goes with Kirk, so it stands out a little bit to me there. Once they show up on the planet, the landing party is Kirk, McCoy, Scotty, Chekhov, who's in a terrific wig, I gotta say.
Yeah, wow. Yeah.
He looked very, very young.
Yes. This is maybe one of the first things he ever shot. Like this is early in Chekhov's.
Well, this will come up later in the fun facts, but all 7 original cast members, this is the first episode they showed in broadcast was. All of them together.
Sulu's there. He's on the bridge with Uhura. We later on see Uhura doing some pretty fun stuff, like down there fixing stuff, having agency and
firing gun and sparks.
Yeah, like she's that was something at the time. Like that meant something to show that kind of thing. But this landing party, Palamas is like, why am I here? And she's like, well, isn't this your department, archaeology, anthropology, ancient civilizations, quite much like that historian who was brought on the mission with Khan over to the space siege ship. This officer who never expected to have to do much, but twice this has come up, at least.
And both times, these officers are sort of troublemakers.
They are troublemakers. They are sympathetic to hostile forces, both of them. And these so the Khan story is season 1. This is not long after in season 2, and it's a little bit I don't know what to make of it.
It's just insulting to the characters, honestly, that they're so able to be swept off their feet by these men, and that they want to leave Starfleet, which everybody works very hard to be in. Like, it just seems very odd that it's gone.
Yeah, they're a little too eager. They're a little too eager to kind of throw away what you would assume is like their career, what they want to achieve in life. They joined Starfleet, I assume, not to get married, but maybe they did. I don't know. So it does come across a little strange. I guess the other one was they run into these other situations. Like sometimes they run on a planet and it's like Nazi Germany. Sometimes they run on a planet and it's ancient Rome. you do need these people on your ship. I just think they should be less surprised that they're called into action so much, considering the track record of the show.
Mm-hmm.
Moving on. All right. So once they get down, they meet Mr. Apollo, who's throwing his lightning bolts, and he's pretty into Palamas right from the beginning. Scotty, very jealous. He's a lovesick, jealous guy here. And this keeps playing out. They keep showing us, basically it's Spock, Uhura, and Sulu trying to like solve for the fact that they're trapped by the space hand above. So we keep kind of flipping between those two stories here. But Apollo kind of takes Palamas away and he seduces her. He's like, he tells the story, of how they don't really buy it at the beginning that he's who he says he is, but they kind of put it together that he is kind of who he says he is. And it kind of is an interesting science fiction notion of like that all of our mythology around gods and these more powerful beings could just be aliens that once existed. And this has become more of a prevalent science fiction theory in today's age. It's too bad Jeff's not here because this is one of his areas that he looks into quite a bit. But what did you think of that, Jody? Like just in terms of the trying to connect theology to sort of something in fact.
Well, I think it's a good way to tie the story. I think it's an interesting premise. The odds. There is one part eventually where he says you need gods or something like that, and Kirk's like, I only have one. That's fine. It's like
we have the one. We find the one quite adequate.
Yeah, the one quite adequate. That's it. Yeah. I like the idea of the fact that the Greek gods could have just been aliens. Like it's an interesting premise for sure.
Now, question: is Apollo? He's half human, right? He says that his mother is Leto, who was a human who married Zeus.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So Apollo's at least half human, right?
Well, and I think that's kind of the reason why you see the fact that he has to be tied to this, this statue monument thing.
Like the little temple thing, yeah.
Yeah, so, maybe that's why he has to harnesses the power versus, it's always there kind of thing.
Right, because McCoy does scan him with the tricorder. He says he reads as human, except he has this little organ in his chest that he can't figure out.
Yeah, he's got this extra thing, yeah.
He's got this little extra thing.
That's his little car battery.
Right. But okay, and this whole, I guess, like considering who Lieutenant Palamas is, what her area of expertise is, it's not completely out of the notion that she would be sort of enthralled by Apollo, especially when compared to Scotty, looking a little better.
Now, what happened to the other girl from a couple episodes back who was also an anthropologist? Kind of.
She went with Khan.
Oh, that's right. She ended up with Khan. So, but this happened before or after Khan. Oh, this is a replacement. Yeah, because that would have been before. Okay, yeah.
So yeah, Palamas is presumably the replacement.
Space Seed happens after this.
No, Space Seed's before this. Space Seed's season 1. This is season 2.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. All right. You're right. Yeah. I got a lot of meds in me right now.
And it could just be the fact that hey, everyone liked that that Space Seed story from season 1. Let's make another story kind of like that. I could see that have been sort of maybe an early development for this. Well, maybe we'll find out. But when I watch this episode, I do get mad at her too. I'm like, hey, where's your loyalty? And Kirk gives this great speech later on in the episode, which I think is the best part of the episode, right? Where he's, what does he say? He says, like, we're human. We have this shared heritage, right? Because, like, yes, I think that this Apollo character is a bit more of a tragic figure than Khan. He's less pure villainous than Khan was, but he's not a good. He's not doing good things, right? And he goes, here, look, human flesh against human flesh. We're the same. We share the same history, the same heritage, the same lives. We're tied together beyond anything else. Doesn't matter if we're man or woman, we're human, and we couldn't escape from each other if we wanted to. So that's what you need to remember. That's where your duty lies. And I don't know, that's the speech in the episode that he has to like basically shake into her in order to sort of get her to remember who she is and what her job is here. Because basically all she has to do is kind of break up with Apollo, and that breaks his heart. How did you guys feel about all that?
It was necessary. It had to happen. Like, listen, it was desperate. I mean, desperation. They're in trouble. They can't seem to break free of this guy. He's got enormous power, over her as well. But she is the way out. And I'm glad he had that talk with her because honestly, I mean, she kind of needed it. And without her, like, she became the hero of the story. Honestly, by when you come down to the end of it, she came around. Thank goodness. And was able to to break away from Adonais, even though it killed her, because you can see how upset she was around it. But I think she would have stayed there. I mean, she was all in. Like, I'm going to be the mother of the new goddess.
Yeah,
I think the real hero here is Scotty.
Why?
Scotty gets thrown around like a rag doll.
He gets thrown around like a rag doll, and he still stands up after. The man's just a rock.
Like, he gets electrocuted too. It's not a good day for Scotty.
Some could say that he actually harnessed the power of the gods, so that way everybody else wouldn't die.
Yeah, he just
Scotty's
wanted
a
to
hero.
at the beginning. That's all he wanted.
He just wanted that girl.
At one time, he took a hit on one of them, and he just went flying.
Oh yeah.
I know. Just missed that pillar by an inch.
And Kirk just gets the choke, so that way William Shatner can overact and choke some more.
It kind of looked like he was actually doing his own stunts too.
Shatner, yeah, like, because there's not like Scotty.
Yeah.
I can buy that.
Wouldn't shock me. The dude's like a war vet, man. Like, guy's tough as nails to begin with, so wouldn't shock me.
Lost fingers and everything.
They do such a good job of hiding the fingers too. Like, I never ever see him missing the finger.
Yeah, you really have to look for it, and it's only in a few episodes you can kind of see it, but it's very.
They always do a good job. They always have him slightly off camera or something. It's amazing.
I also think that the whole using the Greek gods was important. I mean, consider the time. Like, in school they were still studying the classics. Not like today. I mean, it wouldn't have the same.
The Apollo missions were happening as well, so that can't be a coincidence.
Pardon me?
The Apollo missions were happening, so that couldn't have been a coincidence.
Just the whole, in school. I mean, it was a thing. You studied classics. You knew about Greek history, and you just don't see that connection today. I don't think it would have the same resonance.
Yeah, my kids haven't learned it. So.
No. Yeah, that's true, right? Because like someone like Apollo, everybody would kind of, at the time watching this episode, kind of would have connected to that, right? And now,
and Jody, I mean, you made a great point. The whole NASA program, Apollo program, was heyday of it. So I mean, it's even more important. I didn't even think of that one.
Yeah, me either. Yeah, that's a good point. There's that. Yeah, what happened to all that? Why did all that fade away from our culture? I'd have to kind of think.
Well, the Greek gods thing is myth at best anyway. So it's like, why would you teach kids that now?
No, but you remember they really tried during the 80s with Clash of the Titans. I think they're good movie. The original was great. Even the remake was good. But it's pretty much gone away, I think.
I blame Kevin Sorbo and the Hercules: The Legend Continues or whatever.
If anything, Kevin Sorbo helped that.
And Xena? What about Xena Warrior Princess?
Well, there's a lot of reasons to watch Xena Warrior Princess.
Well, yeah. Anyway, so, but Apollo, he's like, hey, welcome everybody. Guess what? You're all going to worship me just like it was 5,000 years ago, and you're going to tend over the sheep and the goats. That's going to be your new.
Yeah, but he was actually kind of surprised that they didn't all get excited about that.
Well, okay. Well, let's weigh this out for a second. Starship and new things to see in the world that is exciting, or fuck around with sheep. Come on. Yeah, that one's an easy one.
Is Apollo smart?
What's that?
Is Apollo smart?
I don't think he's. I just think he is what he
I think
is.
he's average intelligent. I don't think he's super smart. I don't think he's dumb either.
You just come from a place where everybody did worship you, and you're a god. You're literally a god. To now humans pushing back and questioning and saying, "No, we're not going to tend to the sheep. We have something to do."
But he tells us himself that him and his Olympians, they left because basically the human ancestors eventually rejected them or forgot them, and so they all kind of said, "Well, if you're not going to worship us, we're just going to leave." And now this is like thousands of years later, and he's kind of assuming that these humans have like regressed into the point where, oh, Apollo, it's you, man. Yeah, we were into this space travel thing, but forget that. We're just gonna.
Thank God we found you.
Yeah,
exactly.
Or is Apollo just this really sad child character who just wants somebody to love him again, and all of his family are gone, and is he to be pitied really more than anything?
He kind of almost reminds me of that child that had the fake suit thing. I can't remember. Ted loves that episode. Can't remember the guy's name.
Yes.
With Ron Howard's.
Baylock. Yeah, you mean
Baylock, yeah.
Clint with Clint Howard as a child, and
Clint Howard. Like it kind of reminds me of that character because he's
the Mitch McConnell.
he's almost like he's got an adolescent mind, but yet he's an adult. So it's like that's kind of interesting on that.
Yeah, like
but you know what though? He still like look how Palamas responded to him. She was like again like, "Oh, I'll go with you in a second."
Yeah.
No.
There wasn't much of a conversation. She just
Let's be honest though. The dude's ripped. Like the guy is like in peak physical form. Like the guy is amazing to look at. Like fuck, I almost went gay looking at him. Like come on, like
this was almost played by John Voight apparently too. Something I just read.
I can't imagine John Voight doing this better. I can't.
1960s John Voight. That's
Even
pre-Deliverance.
Dave, what did you think of when Adonis or Apollo rather got really big?
When he grew up to like this huge, massive guy. I
he was like 10 times real life size.
I think that overall they did it. The effect looks good for the time for what like for the 1960s, I guess, right?
I don't know. They did much better green screen grow up shots in movies back then too. So I don't know.
It's a little bit too Jolly Green Giant for me.
It's brutal. The lighting's
wrong. It was
wrong,
a little bit like that. Yeah,
wrong.
It was a little Jolly Green Giant.
Right, especially his space hand.
In Canada, we would have called it the friendly.
Okay, the space hand isn't him though.
Right.
And if I'm doing the facts later, I'll let you know who it actually is.
Okay, who's the hand model?
I know exactly who the hand was.
All right, I gotta find out.
I'll let you know.
At least they called the hand an energy field, though. They didn't call it a hand. Like
it looked like a bloody hand. Come on.
I know. They were at least trying to explain it.
Yeah, that's true.
Don't call it a hand.
They said it was an energy.
What did they call it, Adam?
An energy field.
What did they call it? Energy field?
Yes.
It just looked like a hand.
I'm holding the wrong enterprise.
Yeah.
All right, here we go. No, I can't do it. All right.
This is like one of the early episodes I ever watched of the original series. Like the idea of this hand stopping their ship in space is very like distinct in my memory because I watched this episode a lot when I was young for whatever reason.
So I'm very familiar with this episode because I've watched it many times. The one thing that I thought was interesting is I went back and looked at it this time and watched it again, and I'm like, the phasers are blue, but I remember them being red. So I looked it up. It turns out the remaster is blue. So,
but they were red.
They were red in the original. Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
So they changed it because apparently there was some trailer or something that had them as blue originally.
So this is
there they go. That's the remaster.
The remastered version. That's Apollo's temple there, which it turns out to be a machine that is also connected to that little organ in his chest that allows him to sort of do the things he does. And you see him a few times. He gets weak and he kind of collapses after he grows big, like you said, Dad, or after he does if he throws Scotty across the room.
So my question is this though: if he's using this thing to harness the power, to get his power and harness it, why isn't he harnessing the power of the phasers that are hitting it? Like this guy should have turned into like some mecha dude. That would have been amazing.
You're assuming he can absorb the phaser power, maybe.
Yeah, and then they'd be like, "Damn it, we shouldn't have did that." That would have been amazing.
I would have been really like, just to be next to these phasers when they were going off, like from the ship, because these are coming from orbit, right?
They seem pretty small too, compared to what they would actually be coming from that starship. Yeah. I think
Spock's like, I recommend you get.
Like they should be like football field wide. I think.
You don't want to be next to those when they
didn't disperse.
They're pretty. They're pretty
like
precision.
targeted. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
But they could take you out.
Well, that's George Takei though, so
Decay.
Takei, yeah.
He
He knows how to fire them phasers.
He sure does. Remember when
accurate.
Spock tells him he has to scan every part of the planet? He's like, and he's like, every part of the planet? He's like, is that you got a problem, mister? Is this what happens?
Yeah, and then he's like, well, look where it isn't. And then you'll know where it is. It's like, oh yeah, that's efficient. We'll be here for years.
That dress, Jody. What about that dress?
This is the typical Star Trek 2 boobs, 1 piece of felt. That's what this is.
She was very happy
for the record, though, not complaining.
Yeah, she wasn't either. I think
it's one of the better dresses they've had.
You know what? Honestly, even though how sexist this show is, let's be honest, it's extremely sexist. The women always look beautiful. They always made.
They have some amazing designs, and I keep thinking this is the 1960s, and so it was kind of like this. I have to appreciate this awakening in terms of fashion and even just showing a midriff and shoulders and things like that, because it was such a conservative culture in the United States. Even today, it still is, but then even more so. And as long as she likes it, it's good. But I think that it's they did some interesting things with costume design during this period overall. I think those are all my images, just reaction images. Yeah. Okay. So just coming back to it. One thing we didn't talk about was Kirk's plot to the original plot he was going to thwart Apollo with, which was he knew that Apollo was draining power from this thing, and if they could distract him or make him angry enough that they could maybe make him vulnerable. But McCoy points out to him that this would likely get him killed or get one of them killed, and Kirk's response to that is yeah, but he won't kill all of us, so we're all going to kind of laugh in his face at the right moment. But Lieutenant Palamas kind of ruins it.
I think Kirk just thought he had more red shirts down on the planet.
Yeah, he didn't realize
that's what it was. He's like, oh, wait a second, we don't have any more red shirts. Oh, fuck, only Scotty's left.
I thought that when Chekhov pointed out the obvious that he's losing power every time, and then when Kirk goes, "You've earned your paycheck this week, mister," that was a funny line.
Or the other line was when he was talking about McCoy's giving a hard time to Chekhov. He's like, less detail. And he's like, the captain requires full detail. And he's like, Spock's been corrupting this boy. I was like, that's weird. That was just the way he said
That's it. McCoy, though.
Yeah.
Nothing new for McCoy.
Right. But I don't know. In terms of plot, we've covered most of it. Honestly, I don't know what else I'm missing other than this. Maybe the ending with Apollo, who decides, much like Hera and the rest of his others, he's not going to die, but he's sort of going to fade into nothing here at the end, right? Once he's been defeated, yeah, go away. Do you guys sympathize with it?
You know what? Honestly, what's his name? Michael Forrest, is it? That plays him?
Forrest, yeah.
Michael Forrest. I have to admit, he did a pretty good job near the end, though, because he started bringing the tears down. I thought that was pretty good.
Zeus Hermes, Hera, you were right.
Yeah, exactly. So it's
There's no room for gods. Forgive me, my old friends. Take me. And then Carolyn cries.
Yeah, and then blah blah. We're done. Yeah, but yeah, I don't know. It's this episode is a bit of a slow burn. It's not too bad compared to some of the episodes. Some of the episodes are just brutal, but this one at least gives you enough stuff to keep the story going to the point that you're not bored.
I think it could have been over in 40 minutes.
Oh, I'm sure there's at least 10 minutes of filler in there for sure. Yeah, but what I'm saying is compared to some of those episodes, some of these episodes are there's 20 minutes of content and then a lot of talking. And the talking gets you nowhere, or the punching, yeah. So, but the thing I liked about this is the fact that Kirk kept getting his comeuppance, because realistically, every time he came up with something to do, it got fucked up. So it's that's kind of cool. I like
the only thing he does that's effective is convince Lieutenant Palamas to sort of turn on Apollo.
which I would have liked to see Scotty do instead. I
Would've
would have
made
rather
sense.
Scotty do that one, yeah.
But yeah, Scotty's not involved in that conversation.
He's too busy getting beaten up.
Well, he's too busy getting zapped, I guess. But you know, it would have been. I would have liked to see a little bit of a comic thing where like Scotty got up and his hair was kind of up and kind of.
You're the only red shirt on this mission, Scotty. You gotta get beat up.
Yeah, you're gonna get shocked the shit out, Val, because you got the red shirt on. That's how it works.
Dad, I'm trying to understand this ending. Can you help me understand this ending? Because after this whole episode, once Apollo disappears and he dies, and Kirk has been adamantly fighting against him the entire episode, he goes, you know what? Greek civilization, culture, philosophy, it all came from that. So they were our golden age. Would it have been so bad just to gather a few laurel leaves? And that's where the episode ends. And so Kirk was like, well, maybe he wasn't such a bad guy after all. What do you make of that?
I think it was kind of just after it was all over, the pressure was off. You know, it's like he just probably said, it's nice to have that in theory, but you might want to live it in the real world. It's kind of
He's like, hey, we need to set up a new theme park, Greek world on or something where people get to the world.
Greek world.
Yeah, or Olympian world, maybe. Yeah, it's just a strange. The ending, I think, is the biggest thing. But to that thing I was talking to earlier, maybe it would have been weirder if it had been this ending with her being pregnant by Apollo and where that's going to go.
That would have been good.
That would have been kind of neat. Plus, it would have locked him into doing another episode with her in it eventually, maybe.
Yeah, I thought that would have been a fantastic ending. Now I knew that happened. My goodness.
Like if they ended this as like they all got back to the ship, she's in, she comes to med bay and she's like, oh, I'm not feeling too well, and he does a scan, he's like, you're pregnant, and then it goes to credits. That'd be amazing.
Yes. And what kind of baby would be born? Was it like a con baby or just a regular baby?
A con baby. I love that.
If Apollo himself is half human, then this child would presumably only be a quarter whatever he is, whatever his species is. So
interesting.
So instead of harnessing lightning, you probably just harness static electricity.
Yeah.
He just runs around rubbing his feet everywhere and fucking shocking cats and shit.
Jody, do you have some fun facts for us?
Sure. Before you move on, can I just two things though?
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
Spock's coaching of Uhura to do the job underneath the console. Excellent to see her do something a little more than just sit at the counter with a big thing in her ear. One thing that struck me this episode is how awkward the back console is for everybody. The height of it doesn't, like, everybody's like hunched over their back. And
it's very poorly designed.
You mean like the console that Uhura works and those
when they're sitting down.
But if you look at, I don't know if you've ever seen the schematics for the actual set, but the set was actually on a tilt. So I think that was just to make it so you could see more people's faces.
Probably. But when they're standing at that counter, everybody's always just look very uncomfortable,
Yeah, because the counter is up higher than it should be. Well, actually, it's technically lower, but
than it should be,
because the deck where they sit on is actually higher.
Yeah.
So it kind of squishes them down, right?
I'm going to see if I can
to stay in frame.
Anyway, it was good to see her doing, what typical Scotty does and working hard there, and I like that scene. And again, I'm happy to see Kirk taking some, pulling Columbus back into her duty and reminding her that, you gotta save us. This is not just about you here.
Yeah, stop fucking around, lady.
Right.
So this is like sort of like the setup of the bridge, right? And
so the back portion of the set, from basically where Uhura sets, you can actually see the line there, to where the seat is on the opposite side is actually higher than the rest. It's not equal.
Right.
So, but I think that was because they had to get it so that way people could be in the same scene together a lot.
Yeah, it makes
sense. That's my guess anyway.
Yeah, and you got Kirk sitting in front of that station too, right? So
yeah. Wow, I went like totally red here. Hold on.
Red alert.
Oh no. Red alert. All right, there we go. Gotta love technology.
You got a red alert.
I gotta put my old man glasses on now.
Adam, did you have a second thing you wanted to mention?
No, it was the console height, and it was just to see Kirk in reining back in Palamas, and also to see Uhura doing something else than just at the counter. So.
Yeah, no, it was. So I think there is some good stuff, but it's a mixed bag this episode, I think, overall.
Yeah.
Dave, what planet was this on?
Pollux,
yeah.
Pollux 4.
Yeah, something like
Pollux 4? Has that ever been in any other episodes?
It was 4 billion years old. I remember that.
Yeah, it was 4
No,
billion years old.
it really only appears in this episode.
Yeah.
Nope. Yeah, that's it.
We never really got a reason why they were there either, did we?
No, they were just going by. It was really
they were just like kind of going by, and they're like, "Oh, all right, cool." And then
by.
Space Hand shows up, and then
and starts the story. But
speaking of Space Hand, roll it.
Oh,
there you go. All right. So I know you were all eagerly waiting to figure out whose hand that was. It was Gene Roddenberry's.
Gene Roddenberry. He's the green space hand.
He has a cameo credit just for the hand in this episode.
There you go.
Just so you know. So that is an authentic green Gene Roddenberry hand right there.
He's a god.
No, I know you're all excited about that. All right, let's get into some other stuff here. Chekhov tells Kirk that he's 22 years old, but actor Walter, I can never say his last name. There we go. At the time, was actually 30 years of age.
Koenig?
Yeah.
Koenig.
So the gown that Leslie Parrish wore was glued to her skin to keep it in place, obviously, which was painful for her because it tore her skin when it was removed. Oh, well, some things just happen to happen, you know?
Sometimes.
What can you do, guys? What can you do? Another fun fact here. This is the second of only 5 episodes of Star Trek that features a question mark in its actual name. The other ones are the original series. What are the little girls made of? The original series. Is there in truth no beauty? Star Trek Deep Nine's episode of Who Mourns the Mourn? And Discovery's episode of Will You Take My Hand? So this is one of 5 episodes of the entire Star Trek franchise that had a question mark in its name.
Either Adam or Jody, have you seen the episode Who Mourns for Mourn?
It's a DS9 episode, so I must have seen it because I've seen the whole series.
I just can't place it.
I can't remember which one it is.
It's kind of a mystery with Mourn because we think Mourn's dead.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I know that one. Yeah, that was not a bad episode, actually.
But it must be a reference to this title, right? Who Mourns for Mourn? Who Mourns for Adonais?
I believe there might have been a little bit of a link there. We'll have to just see. Here you go. That's one I was telling about earlier. In the trailer, the phasers fired by the Enterprise and the Temple are blue. In the episode itself, they are red. They would once again be blue in the remastered version of the episode. So that's the easiest way to figure out if you're running the remaster or not. Another fun fact. This episode was shown in a scene in the movie X-Men Apocalypse from 2016. I don't know how exciting that is, but it was in there. Apollo is the name of the United States Space Fleet at the time Star Trek was being made. Well, we already covered that, I guess, but anyway. Michael Forrest, who played Apollo, reprised his role as Apollo in the fan-made sequel Star Trek Continues Pilgrim of Eternity, which I guess would not be canon. So Dave will not
accept
agree to that. Will not accept that, yeah. The fused charred phaser Kirk holds up as he's speculating about Apollo visiting Earth is the one crushed by Khan in the Space Seed episode. It's the same one.
Oh.
Michael Forrest recalled working with his co-stars. Leslie Parrish was a delightful person to work with, no problems, never any difficulties, would do just about anything we were going to do and would do it. She was an excellent, very personable. William Shatner, on the other hand, was a bit of a problem, however. You never saw me standing with him. We were always in different shots. We would be talking, to one another, but we would never be on camera at the same time. I'm sure that was what he stipulated because I was so much taller. So a little
wow.
bit of a feud there by the sounds of it.
Well,
anyway.
it fits because let's face it, like Shatner loved being the star of the show, and nobody was going to.
Of
upstage
course,
him,
yeah,
right.
Yeah,
So.
well, we all know he's had a lot of run-ins with various people. Jason Alexander of Seinfeld fame cites this episode as his favorite of the original series, describing it as thought-provoking, beautiful, and very sad. So, yeah, I could agree with that to a degree, I guess. It would have been even more sad if they used the original ending. Apollo's temple was constructed as an indoor studio set. Swaying trees, courtesy of hidden stagehands, and dubbed-in bird sounds were combined with stock footage of an outdoor lake and adequately conveyed the illusion of being outdoors.
Okay, it did not adequately do it. Okay, I had forgotten about this.
I knew you were going to run into this.
But Jane, we did this for radio theater. So when we did it, we watched it a few times, and that there was like this one tree on the left that was just shaking a little bit, and we're like, it's just one guy back there shaking a tree. It's obviously all that.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, you got to work with what you got, right? All right, so this gets back to one of the previous fun facts. William Shatner was so concerned with the height of disparity that he was disallowed any shots, but would show him with a much taller Michael Forrest side by side in the same frame.
He must have been really mad when he grew up to that big size too.
Yeah, there you go. Forrest would often notice Shatner inadvertently standing on his tippy toes. That doesn't shock me at all.
Okay, it says that he's 1.7 meters tall, which is I forget what that works out to be.
Well, 3 meters to 3 feet to a meter, roughly.
So he's not like he's shorter than I am. I'm 188 centimeters. So he's average height. But Michael Forrest, he's 5'9", 5'9" and a half. That's what he is. So, and then.
Okay, so we're gonna get down to this whole what do you name it? Adonais?
Adonais.
Adonais. Okay, the title was taken from Adonais in Elegy on the Death by John Keats by Percy Bysshe Shelley. I'm pretty sure I killed that one up. Line 415 reads, "Who mourns for?" Dave can say it.
Adonais.
Adonais. Shelley's Adonais
Adonis. Who mourns for Adonis?
Is derived from Adonis, a male figure in Greek mythology associated with fertility. So you're technically wrong,
Adonis.
Ted,
I knew
but in a
Adonis
way you're right.
It's connected, but they're not the same
that's
word.
not the same word, no. And they say it's not the same word.
It's Adonai.
I had to put that one in there just to make sure.
Maybe
you
it's
guys,
Adonai. I'm not up on my Greek, so I can't.
Adonais.
Yeah. The producers originally wanted John Voight for Apollo, but he was hired for another project. So you were definitely right on that one, Dave.
John Voight.
Here you go. The plot of
He went on Seinfeld.
Yeah, the plot of The God Thing, Gene Roddenberry's rejected script for the first motion picture, was similar to this episode. Star Trek 5, The Final Frontier, also covered much of the same ground, which would explain why it kind of sucks. All right. Yeah, I think we're pretty good here, Dave. I don't think we need any more fun facts. I think we've had our share.
All right. Well, let's quantify this episode because we kept saying so. What does that mean? So let's have a look here and bring this up. So who mourns for Adonais?
For me, it's above Miri, but not as good as Taste of Armageddon.
Okay, so you're somewhere between 4.5 and 8, then, Jody.
Yeah, there you go. If you want my score now, I'll give you. It's going to be a 6.
Okay. Adam, we'll go to you next.
I'll take a 7.
7. Dad?
6.5. I'll go in the middle.
6.5. Yeah, I'm gonna go with Adam on this. I think it's about a 7 for me. Actually, I'm gonna go a little. I liked it better than last week, so I'm gonna give it 7.2. So that averages exactly at 7.2. 6.7 for the four of us, and 7.2 is the IMDb score. I'm sorry, and so that averages at 6.9. So these are, like we said, below average, but just just below average. These scores.
There's no Miri.
No Miri.
Every
Mary.
time.
Every time.
Miri sucks, man.
5.6.
Terrible episode.
It's okay. Yeah. Okay. So then, Dad, where are we going to next? Which strange new world?
If he doesn't have one, I
next
have
week.
one. Damn it.
I got a good one. You'll love it, Jody. The Cage.
I hate the cage.
You don't like it?
The Cage.
Yeah, I don't like that episode.
We already
at all.
did this.
I think we
No,
did
we
the
didn't.
cage.
No. Well, we did.
No.
We did this. Whatever it's called.
We never did the Cage.
Are you sure?
Well, no, we didn't do the Cage, but we did.
We did the episode that's
we
based
did
on
the
it.
Menagerie.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Which
we
one?
did the Menagerie.
So you want to go back to Pike? You're looking to do a Pike episode here.
Yeah, the Cage.
I wanted to do the ultimate
Listen.
computer.
Is it because I
We
said
can do
strange
that one.
world?
If you want to do that one, we can do that one.
Oh no, it's fine. It's
You
your
wanna
show,
do the-
Ted, not mine.
I'm good with the Ultimate Computer.
The ultimate
Okay,
computer.
Dave, Ultimate Computer.
Is it called the
Yeah.
ultimate computer?
Okay.
I could be wrong.
The ultimate computer.
Yeah, it's something like that.
I don't think this is an episode I know by. At least I don't know it by name. Is it
This
where he talks
That's a
about
good
the
one.
computer to death
This is where he talks the computer to death.
again?
Yeah, again, that's true. Yeah. No, it only reminded me because of Steve Shivs. He released a video today that talked
I
about
don't
that
think I
episode. as
know
well.
this episode.
It's a great episode. I do enjoy the episode. It was a good episode.
Interesting. Okay,
But
Hey,
anyway, if Ted wants to do the cage, we'll do the cage. It's fine.
I want to do this.
This is Ted.
No, I'm good with that.
This is Ted's show, not mine.
No, I'm good. I like it. I like to get some, outside influence.
All right. Well, let's do that one then.
Just
Yeah,
because
you're
we
good.
did the Menagerie and it kind of covers the story of the Cage.
Yeah, it literally covers the whole thing.
Right. So
Okay.
maybe we'll
Okay.
we'll do the Cage, but let's maybe I'm learning there's episodes I just haven't seen. So
I can't believe you haven't seen that one yet.
Okay.
Yeah, this is
That's
not
a
one
good
I
one.
know.
You know that one, Adam, don't you?
No, I just
Really?
agree. I want to watch it. It looks good.
No, it's a good episode.
Season 2, episode 24. So it was near the end of the same season we watched tonight.
It's in the 30 must watch.
It's a
list
good
here.
episode. I like it.
Daystrom. Okay, that's
It's from Day. Yeah, it's Daystrom is on the ship, and they're doing basically
Oh, I know
it's the
this.
computer that takes over the Enterprise, and it
Yes.
starts shooting at people and killing like Starfleet officers. It's amazing. I love it.
okay. This
It
is
might be my favorite episode. I'm not gonna lie.
I think there's gonna be some interesting things to talk about, even with Star Trek Discovery, as it ties into AI. And
Well, that's one of the reasons why I thought of it as well, because Adam was just talking about Discovery a couple minutes ago, so I'm like, that's kind of right in the bag there.
okay, so we'll be back next Wednesday to talk about the what's it called? The Ultimate Computer, which may not be the Ultimate Computer by the sounds of it. So we'll be here to talk about that next Wednesday night. We also are doing multiple podcasts here on Live Long and Podcast. Tuesday nights we do Star Trek Deep Space Nine. We are watching every episode in a row. We are halfway through the second season right now. We just did Whispers last night, which was an O'Brien. O'Brien thought he was going crazy, so check that out. We do that with
Keiko's in it though, so it can't be that good of an episode.
yeah, Keiko's in it. And then we do this one. And then Thursday nights, we have Star Trek Discovery, as we've been covering the third season. Adam, Michael, and I, and Jane. We've been doing that where it's been going really well. We've been really happy with this season so far.
If you do a recap on that episode, on that season, I wouldn't mind being on it.
Yeah, we'll bring you in for the season 1 deep dive, or the season 3 deep dive that we'll do when all the episodes have aired.
I have to admit, Adam was right. I am enjoying it.
Yeah, it's good. It's really good.
It's coming along. We also did Star Trek Lower Decks earlier this summer. We covered all 10 of those episodes, so check that out in the catalog. And on the weekends, we do Star Trek Radio Theater. We are coming near the end of our first season here. We have a couple final productions coming up. First, this Saturday night, we're going to be doing Star Trek Deep Space Nine's The Gem Hadar, which is the second season finale from then. We're Jody, you're in for this one. You're playing third
Oh, okay.
Talaktan, or however you say it. You're playing the Gem Hadar. You're playing the title of the
As
episode.
long as I can talk by then, we'll be good.
Yes, exactly. Saturday night. Jeff's gonna be playing Commander Cisco. I'm gonna be in this as Eris and Dax and a few others. So check that out. That will be this Saturday night, and on December 12th, which is in 2 Saturdays, we'll be finishing up our first season of Star Trek Radio Theater, whereas we'll be doing Star Trek 4: The Voyage Home.
Now, I heard something about this one, Dave. I heard that I had to be brought in because somebody didn't do a character correctly last time.
Well, I may have played Scotty in actually, I do have that here. I brought. So when we did this like a couple weeks ago, we did Who Mourns for Adonais, the episode we've been talking about for the last hour.
Oh, you did this episode. Okay.
We did this episode. I played Scotty for that one, and I was not good. My Scottish accent was probably the worst.
I was asked to come in. I know that.
Yeah, they're like never again.
That bad. I gotta listen to it now.
I might. Oh, sorry. I might have to apologize to the Scottish government for what happened. So
you may have created like a Simpsons-like incident.
There's been threats of war and different things being uttered across.
Getting a lot of Twitter stuff.
So I'm banned from Scotty. We got it's back to you, Jody. To
sometimes you got to go with the original, I guess.
You gotta go with it. So check that out. Those are our next 2 Saturday nights, and we also have other channels, Trivial Debates, or Adam just competed on that with Jody, and we had Jaemeel hosting along with Chris Seymour. That was a fun time on Sunday.
It was a hard fight, that one.
Now I know how to do this is working. I have to come back.
Yeah. You were going against the winningest champion in history.
Am I hosting next time?
We didn't say who was hosting, but if you want it, you can have it. I think we're.
Well, give Adam a fair chance, you know.
Yeah. So
I'd like you to come back and play so I can actually win.
Oh, okay. Well, you let me know if you want me to host or if you want me to.
Sure, if you want to
Adam again.
You put your hand up
but I will say, Adam and I together, I think we might be unstoppable. So
as a team, yeah, you can.
Whoever that third person's going to be in, that might be a problem.
Well, I try to get Chris on every episode because that's the only podcast he does with us. So I always try to get.
Hey, he got a point this time.
You got the first point, but then it was all downhill from there. So check that out. And our other channel, which we're not active right now, we're on a bit of a hiatus, but it's Super Mater Brothers Podcasting. Jeff and I talking about Survivor, Big Brother, other shows like Westworld. So check that out over there. And I think that's it. Thank you for a great podcast, everybody. And good talking about this episode. And we'll be back next week to talk about the ultimate computer. Until then, live long and podcast.